Hello, welcome back to Fallout 76. Those of you that watched an old video of mine might remember the Pulse Flamer. It was a nifty little weapon. Not game breaking or anything like that, but it did get disabled almost immediately after it was discovered, so we didn't get to play with it much. But guess what? It's back. No idea how long it's going to be around this time, but you may as well enjoy it while it's here. On top of that, there's extra changes that have come as part of the new legendary system. As part of these, the limits on what legendary properties can go on what item is a lot looser now. Like the explosive effect. Apparently this was allowed on all weapons originally, but it led to the creation of explosive energy weapons that were so overpowered that they're known as legacies, and were disabled a few updates back. Not even nerfed, just disabled outright. I never played with them, but even the name sounds pretty mystical. They were so powerful that the explosive effect was just removed, and people who had them were left with crippled legendaries. Kind of like what's happened with the Ticket to Revenge, although with Ticket that was accidental. But explosive energy weapons are back. They're not as powerful as before, but the explosive effect is pretty interesting on energy weapons, especially because of how far it reaches. In the PTS, the effects just gave you a visual explosion, but no damage. So I was pretty surprised when I got a random Gatling laser with the explosive effect, and it turns out that the explosions actually did damage. I've also been lucky enough to unlock the effect, so why not try it out? So what is a Pulse Flamer? Basically this takes advantage of a glitch that turns the Flamer into a hybrid gun. So you could keep the benefits of the Flamer, but also get some of the benefits of a gun. So how do you make one? First you attach a flamer barrel to your plasma gun. It has to be a normal flamer, not an enclave flamer. That changes it into a flamer. But if you attach a pulse capacitor after that, it'll trick the gun into becoming what I call a pulse flamer. The order is important, by the way. It has to be the flamer first and the pulse second. Now you shoot bolts of flames. They reach much further than a flamer, so now you technically have unlimited range. It's still a flamer, so it doesn't lose accuracy when you're firing and there's no recoil. But when you aim down sights, you don't gain as much accuracy as you normally would. When you compare that to a normal plasma gun, you can see just how inaccurate the pulse flamer is. But you also get the benefits of a flamer, like the massive magazine capacity, which basically makes it a quad legendary, and the massive fire rate. Although you don't get the area effect of an actual flamer, so it's a bit worse at very close ranges. Unfortunately, you still get the range of a flamer. So while the bolts will fly as far as you can see, the damage you'll do will drop off if you shoot beyond flamer range. And the same goes for VATS accuracy. If you use the concentration perk, you'll raise accuracy as you fire, but at very long ranges, your effectiveness drops off by a lot. Basically the pulse flamer works best when you're firing at across the room distances. You'll be pretty effective if you start at around 30% VATS accuracy. Think of it as an SMG that shoots firebolts. So overall, the pulse flamer is a very effective weapon if you use it right. But wait, there's more! Remember that I talked about energy weapons being allowed to have explosive effects? Well, what's stopping you from making your flamer explosive? Absolutely nothing, that's what. So of course we'll add an explosive legendary effect to our pulse flamer. That adds a small explosion to the pulses. And yes, they actually do a small amount of damage. It doesn't look like much, but the explosion goes much further than you might expect. I'm using Grenadier 2, and if I take it off, you can see that it does reduce the distance of the explosive damage. That massive explosive range actually makes this pulse flamer an amazing tagger. You can pretty much guarantee that you'll do some damage at enemies, even if you're getting big penalties for range. But let's answer another question. Normally 2-shot explosives are just as good as bloody if you use VATS, because VATS makes both shots hit. And explosive damage from both shots makes the overall damage comparable to a bloody explosive, or at least it does normally. So I crafted myself a 2-shot explosive and a bloody explosive. let's take a look at the two-shot. The spread is pretty bad, so it's still a good idea to use it in VATS. But the explosions aren't as effective as I expected. Now let's try the bloody explosive. It just seems to be more effective both in and out of VATS. And because the explosions have a pretty far reach, you don't really benefit from the two-shot. So I'd say that a bloody or anti-armor would be best for an explosive pulse flamer. Mind you, this is still not a game-breaking weapon, and the explosions actually get in the way of aiming unless you use VATS. But it's a very interesting weapon. It's essentially an extended range flamer, and now with explosions, it's also arguably the best tagger in the game. Like I said before, no idea if they'll let the pulse flamer stay this time, but I'm pretty happy with mine.